Ro Khanna is a congressman from California's 17th district, better known as Silicon Valley. A new book just out, Dignity in the Digital Age, Making Tech Work for All of Us. The congressman, I'm very delighted to say, is with us in Washington tonight. You look like you're in your car, Congressman.
I am. I had to step out of the Capitol because I can't talk about my book from the Capitol. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation.
Excellent. Excellent. Look, you represent Silicon Valley, large parts of it. And to a certain extent, that's the elitist of the most elite. And yet you're talking about a digital democracy. Your constituents are arguably the very ones that we now need to regulate against.
Well, we need to regulate, but we also need to create digital opportunity. I mean, the market cap in my district and the surrounding areas is $11 trillion. This is more wealth than is generated in any place probably in human history. It went up 40% during the pandemic with increased digitization. And a large part of the book is saying we've got to create opportunities in places left out for the 25 million digital jobs that will exist in 2025. So people have the opportunity to build wealth without moving to Sand Hill Road. Of course, we also need to regulate on privacy, antitrust, and misinformation.
Okay, there's a lot there. Let's just take the privacy and the antitrust. Europe has already done, you'll be familiar, of course, with GDPR. And the US didn't or hasn't or refuses to go down the same road or even to meet halfway. So we end up with this halfway house where many websites in the US won't let you go to use European sites, etc. from Europe because of GDPR. Does the US need to increase its privacy protections by law?
Yes, we do. We need to have opt-in consent. But let me be a little provocative, as I am in the book. The tech companies are running circles around the GDPR. You have Facebook interns perhaps noticing the level of fines. It barely registers in most of these companies. They go to the lowest form because there are 28 countries and many of the countries don't enforce it the same way. And then they have dark patterns. They can get 90% consent because they can manipulate the technology. So I don't agree with this premise that Brussels can innovate on policy and leave the tech innovation to America. I think to have effective policy, you need people who can understand the technological innovation. And that's why America must join the game. We not only need to regulate, but we need to beef up the FTC and FCC with people who understand tech so that tech doesn't continue to run circles around the regulators.
Right, but that idea of tech running circles is de facto saying tech is too powerful. And we've seen that yesterday, by the way. Facebook is basically saying to the European regulators, you either change the rules or we'll stop Facebook and Instagram in Europe. It's facing them down. However, I guess you don't want the Chinese solution, a la Didi or Alibaba or JD.com, which is we're going to regulate you or shut you down anyway.
Well, certainly we don't want the Chinese solution. I mean, the Chinese don't have the values of freedom, of privacy. And look at what's happened to Jack Ma. I mean, some of these state-owned enterprises, it's scary that what the communist government is doing in China. But that doesn't give tech a free pass. We need to have a transatlantic alliance, and we need to make sure that we have opt-in consent in the United States, that the United States is collaborating with the Europeans in enforcing these regulations.
Would you break up Amazon in and there are one or two other big names, say for example Facebook? Would you require divestment of Facebook? Let's start with Amazon first. Some in your caucus do believe that Amazon should be broken up.
I don't think Amazon should be broken up, and I've been critical. I said that I passed introduced the Stop Bezos Act, pushing Amazon along with Bernie Sanders to have a $15 wage, which they did. But what I do think we need regulation on is Amazon shouldn't be able to discriminate against vendors. For example, they shouldn't say, okay, just because Ro Khanna criticized Bezos, we won't put his book on Amazon or other vendors. And I think we need regulations to make sure they don't discriminate against sellers, but they shouldn't be broken up.
So how far do you go How far, I mean, you know, in terms of the antitrust legislation or power of the DOJ, how much do, obviously you'd like to do it by consent, but we've seen a million times that consent doesn't work. And even if it does work at the beginning of a transaction, 10 years later, everybody wonders what it was all about.
The key is that two principles. First, these companies shouldn't be able to kill their competitors by acquiring them. That's why I do think Facebook should be separated from WhatsApp and Instagram. There you had billions of dollars of acquisition simply to kill competitors, and that should not be allowed. Second, we ought to have a principle that you should not be able to just discriminate against other vendors, to prevent vendors from using your platform. And if we had those two principles, I think you'd have a lot more competition.
Congressman, I'll let you get back inside. Very kind of you to come out in the cold and sit in the car. That is a first. By the way, before you go, you will be delighted to know that your book, Your Dignity in the Digital Age, is most certainly available on Amazon. Not only that, they are describing you as a bestseller. I can get it as early as tomorrow if I didn't already have a copy of it. And a hard copy. Unfortunately, sir, they are already discounting you from $28.99 to $24.88. So you are a bargain to boot. Grateful that you're with us today.
Well,
sir.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And I'm not sure the bestseller is the mark of a book's worth, but I will say that I had a compliment from a philosopher, Martha Nussbaum, who did a review, and I appreciated that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you joining us on Questions Business.